This week in JJK, we've gotten a lot of big news. They dropped this thing on the Twitter to show the Global Edition event bi-weekly update, and they're going to go over what is coming this week and what is coming next week. And I'm going to start a new series where I just go over what is coming for the future of this week. So for this week in JJK, we're getting the Gakuganji and SSR YAGA banner. So we're just going to be going over what is going to be on this banner, what each characters do, and what this SSR memory is, and then we're going to be going over this event that they're adding. So we're going to get a story event, the Suffering of the Principal Gacha, and the Chapter 2 of the Hidden Inventory event. So the memory quest of the Premature Death Hidden Inventory 2 is going to be similar to the one that was already in the game. So you kind of get like a picture, and then you fill out the picture as the event goes on, and then you just get this for free. That's pretty much the only thing about the event. You get a little bit of currency and a little bit of gems, but basically you're just going to get this. This is the reel that's coming with it, and it's pretty terrible. Like, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty trash. Just like most free things that we get, it gives you 5 cursed energy on any command skill, and increases all allies break damage if they're blue. So I could see usage for this. Maybe if you're a new player. Yeah, I could see usage for this. If you're a new player and you get blue Gojo, I could see you running this on one of your buffers. This 10 cursed energy would be similar to what you get from Mutual Trust. It would let you go another extra turn with YAGA. So you'd be able to go I think 6 turns in a row with just pure buffing instead of 5. So I think you drop on turn 6 or 5 usually. So this should give you another turn of buffs. But overall, I wouldn't recommend this. I think anything you can get for free would be better than this. But obviously, the best part about this is that it has shirtless Gojo. I mean, if this isn't going to be your lock screen or your profile picture, I'm probably going to unfriend you. Because obviously I just want to stare at shirtless Gojo all day. I mean, they have Ghetto in the background here, but you know, side piece. He's Gojo's side piece, you know, he's the main character. So then, here we are for the story event and the pickup gacha. We are all the way into July, which is very interesting because there's a lot of story events we're missing here. This is the Hanami rerun that we currently have in the game right now, and you can see this was all hidden inventory, but this is the map event we're going to get, and this is the future map event we're going to get. Is like way later than this one. It's not even this one. Like this Art Museum edition, they have never done any of them. Or no, this is the, never mind, I'm sorry, my bad. This Art Museum edition is what we'll be getting the next week, so they're kind of doing it out of order. Like this Saki and grade 12 with the new chapters are coming out after the thing that's supposed to be coming out before them. So like it should have been Saki and them and this art map, and then it should have been the principal banner with the pickup gacha for the principal, but whatever. I mean, whatever. They can do whatever they want with the game, I guess. I guess the order of these doesn't really matter, but that means we'll be going 1 week without a map event, because this will be starting the next week, and the current map event ends on this Friday. So, with this story event, we'll be getting this free Gojo Source of Stress, and this is free, just like everything else. And it's going to decrease damage received by 15% at max, which you always have it maxed if you just play the event, and then decreases all debuffed enemies damage dealt by 15%, which, like I said, I don't really see any use case for this. This is actually, I think, one of the highest damage received ones we've gotten in the game so far. So if you just want to run it on a full damage increase team, I think this is the highest we've gotten for free ones so far. I think the Chozo one was 13% for physical and cursed energy. The JJK 0 one was 10%. I think this one is 15%, which is the highest one we've gotten, but it's decreasing damage received, so it's trash. And it's not increasing damage, so I don't think you would ever use this. I mean, yeah, I don't see you ever using this. It does less of a buff overall than Mutual Trust and has a longer cooldown. So, yeah, I don't ever see this happening. And in higher end content, you're never going to be debuffing an enemy anyway. So, I mean, overall, I'd say it's whatever for free-to-play players. I could see you beating some stages with this, but you're not making a stall team for that earlier content. I just don't really see any use case for that. As for Gakaganji and Yaga go, it's conflicting, right? Because this is coming out right after hidden inventory, and if you still have cubes after hidden inventory and you didn't get Geto or Toji, then you either got really unlucky or you're dumb. And if you saved things for this, I don't like you, and I think that you should have wasted all of your cubes on hidden inventory and had to go 250 for Toji and never get Geto like I did. So this Yaga that we're going to be getting, I was looking at his kit before the video, going over what it does, and I don't know how I feel about this. His kit is pretty good. I do think his kit is pretty good. Basically, these are just 2 attacks, decreasing enemies' damage and dealing damage, but you're never going to be using these. I mean, you might use this one, but I don't think you're ever going to be using these. Decreasing damage is just not what you're going to use him for. It's just like the S3 he has on the SR Yaga. You're never going to be using this. So the skill 3 is what you want to be looking at. He's going to be doing 150% melee damage to selected enemy, a chance to inflict darkness 1 time for 97.8%, increases the selected enemy's taijutsu damage received by 30% for 3 turns, which means you can stack this up to 3 times, and then increases the enemy's jujutsu damage received by 30% for 3 times, which also means you can stack it up to 3 times, and then it does the same thing but a lesser buff for yellow type characters. So the yellow type characters that you're going to be increasing this for are the meta ones in the game right now are Nobara, Teen Gojo, and Nanami if you have him. I don't think anyone would have Nanami, probably because nobody should have summoned on him, but if you have him, this would be good for that. And then he's going to be dealing range damage equal to 150% physical and 150% jujutsu. And this is good because the curse puppets that he's using to attack ignore darkness status, which would usually be impossible to hit because it's a ranged attack that you're being darkness applied on. And so I think the reason, if you look at the tier list, he's lower than the SR Yaga, and I think that's because this isn't guaranteed. If you have a debuff that's on a melee, it doesn't always apply. You can miss your attacks, and it's not going to always hit. So as you can see, if you go to JP and you go to support, he's below SR. And I think that's because of this. Like, the increasing the damage received is less than what you'd be able to do with Yaga, but he's going to be doing damage, and then on top of this, his auto skill gives you basically an SR Yaga buff for free every turn, which is really good, except for himself, but he's never going to be doing anything anyway, because he doesn't do damage. But this is pretty good. So you get a free SR Yaga buff, and then you can buff with this, which should be kind of equivalent to what you'd be able to put out with SR Yaga. But you're doing actual damage, and he has stats of an SSR instead of an SR. So he's going to be living longer. He's hopefully going to be doing a little bit more damage. And then if you accompany in his ult, which is increasing all damage received by 51 and 51 for 4 turns, this means that it is possible to get more than SR Yaga. If you ult, do these 3 attacks, they all hit. You're using a yellow type character, and you get his buff every turn. So he has the potential to do more than SR Yaga, just like this. Like, even with this too. Like, he increases all damage, allies damage by 30%. This is even more on top of all this. So you're going to be doing 51, 51 for yellow, then 30 to all characters. Then you're going to be doing the 30 for everyone, 30 for everyone, 16, 16 for yellow, and then the 46 and 46 for everyone. So he does have a lot more potential to do buffs, but they're not guaranteed because they're a link to an attack. So it also goes into, like, if an enemy can't be debuffed, it's a whole thing. So I think he's more of the god of debuffs instead of the god of buffs. But yeah, I don't know. If you still have cubes, I think it's a pretty good summon if you really want to, because he's in SS. I mean, he's up there right with Yaga, but I really can't justify summoning if I mean, no one knows when anything's happening, no one knows what's coming next. I'd say hope you get lucky on your tickets. I don't know. But the other person that's going to be on the banner is Gakuganji, and Gakuganji, if I go to the event, we're in July, Gakuganji is basically similar to YAGA. He's kind of like a big debuffing character. So the way he works is you can switch between 2 different types of attacks with his S2, where he increases his damage by 15%, and then it activates or deactivates the alternate tuning state. And this is where you're going to be doing the switch between his 2 types of attacks. So his first type of attack, he increases all enemies' taijutsu and jujutsu damage received by 37.6% for 4 turns, which means you can stack it up to 4 times. It's a pretty good buff. Less than the SSR YAGA we just went over, but I mean it makes sense. He's only an SR. And then if the alternate tuning state is active, his S3 deals damage, inflicts confusion for 3 turns, and then stuns all enemies for 1 turn, 1 chance. And this attack will always act last. And then his S1 should be dealing jujutsu damage to selected enemy, decreasing their jujutsu damage by 15%. If the alternate tuning state is active, changes the skill effect to deals 150% jujutsu damage to the selected enemy, increases selected enemy's damage received by 15%, which is pretty good. I mean, you can get this. You can't really stack them because they're on 2 different S3s, but his S3, like, this is a pretty sizable increase. And he is an SR, so there is a good chance you're going to be getting him on the banner. And I know when Sukuna came out in JP, there's a lot of people making nuke teams with this S3. So yeah, I'd say he's pretty good. I mean, he's a pretty good SR. I'd definitely level him up. Between him and SSR YAGA, we're getting a lot of debuff characters in this patch. And then finally, his ult deals jujutsu damage to the enemies, decreases their damage dealt by 50%. If alternate tuning is active, he deals damage to all enemies and decreases their ultimate count by 1. This is really big because I think he's the only character in the game, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he's the only character in the game other than Gojo, Hollow Purple Gojo, that decreases enemies' ultimate gauge on ult, which is good for some specific tower stages, so he could come in clutch to those for stalling a turn before like the spider stage, which I think is like one of the 40 floors, from getting off that poison attack, which basically loses you the stage. And then finally, they're going to be adding this memory on the banner. So let's just go over that, and then we'll be done for this week. Which this memory on the banner, Light on the Sacred Mountain, decrease your own damage received by 70%. This is pretty good. That's a big buff if you have a taunt character. And then at the start of your turn, as your HP is below, excuse me. If you have below 70% HP, you increase all allies' taijutsu and jujutsu damage by 20%, up to 1 time during the battle. This is pretty good. I mean, this is, I think, the biggest buff for allies that we've gotten, but it's tied to a condition, and you can only do it once. So, usability, I'm not so great, but this is optimal. If you're going to be going for, like, huge nukes, I think this is optimal, because it gives excuse me, a pretty sizable buff to your allies, which you usually wouldn't be able to get. I don't think there's anything that increases by this much in the game. We can check by just going to the tier list before we end. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest one. One of the biggest ones. I cannot see this half the tier list. Let me scroll over. Let's see. Yep, here it is. Yep, it's in, I think this is S tier. S tier for utility, which is pretty good. Like I said, it's probably an S tier because the use case is not so great. You probably can't really hope, you just gotta hope that you get attacked. And it's at an optimal time where you're stacking YAGA buffs to get this, but it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. So yeah, I overall say W update. This is a pretty W update. I mean, depending on what we're getting next week, which we already know, what we're getting next week, grade 12, and stuff like that, this is a really good chance, another story event, on top of the thing, which should be dropping grade 11 materials, to get all your characters to grade 11 before grade 12. I mean, I expect all of you out there to be doing the story event every day. I know some of you that are watching this don't do it, but it's very easy to just do the story event every day and get tons of free materials, get all your characters grade 11 before grade 12. And this event should be yellow up. So absolutely obliterate it. Like, absolutely cook it. Everyone here should have Teen Joe. You should be able to easily clear every single floor, probably in one turn. I will have a video coming out about it when it comes out, and I will be having a video coming out tomorrow, and with the official patch if they add anything else for the login memo later this week. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys, and good luck.